The Su-30 family is a complicated branch of Russia's and many other countries' fleets, particularly the export variants such as the Su-30MK2 AMV that we'll be going over in this video. The Su-30MK2 is a multi-role aircraft used by the previous Venezuelan Air Force. It has quite a lot of capabilities, which we'll be going further explain in this video. As a disclaimer, I am in no way in support of any previous Venezuelan movements or political groups. This is purely a video based on an aircraft that I find interesting. The basic history of the Su-30 family, particularly in Venezuela, starts in the early 1990s. Relations with the United States were shrinking and only growing with Russia. Sitting President Hugo Chavez of Venezuela had begun to move away from pro-American relations, and politically and militarily switched to deals with the Russian Federation. In the years that this was occurring, Venezuela fielded majority Western aircraft and gear. As fast as they switched politics, the faster the US began switching its sides on Venezuela, souring relations. This prompted the Venezuelan government to start doing trade deals, particularly aircraft as well, with Russia. This is how the adoption of it began. In 2005, the United States had embargoed Venezuela. This made it more difficult and almost impossible to source Western parts and munitions with the aircraft they are currently fielded. They were pushed into finding an ally that would source them this material, and would align with their politics. Russia was the first pick in this. Venezuela was eyeing different aircraft such as the MiG-29M and the Su-27, until they landed on the Su-30 family. While the MiG-29M, for example, was promising, did not fit the economic and military needs of Venezuela. Now, one has to keep in mind, Russia and many other countries don't hand off their best gear that is still classified about their capabilities. In turn, Venezuela would settle on an alternative, which was the export variant, titled as the Su-30MK2 AMV. The Su-30MK2 is a twin-engine, two-seated multi-role fighter that was originally based off the Su-30MK2, another export built for China. The Su-30MK2, on the other hand, includes a bigger combat radius, modern avionics, and radar, and ability to carry the best air-to-air and air-to-ground missiles fielded by Venezuela, and also capable of holding maritime anti-ship missiles, which would be intended to defend against the United States, foreshadowing much. It's more of a projection of power, and a threat to any nearby country of their air power, which is still debated. The actual event that gave Venezuela Su-30s was in 2006. This is a deal between Russia and Venezuela that would arm Venezuela with multiple helicopters and 24 Sukhoi Su-30MK2s. The deal's estimated value is around $1 billion US. Although purchased, it wasn't a quick transportation. In 2006, Venezuela had about 2 Su-30s by the end of the year. It took up until 2007 and 2008 just for them to receive all 24 Su-30s. For the meantime, they served as the backbone of the Venezuelan Air Force, and the Western aircraft that they had were getting harder to maintain due to the loss of supplies and gear needed to maintain them. They were assigned to Grupo Aéreo de Chaza, number 13 Simón Bolívar, sorry if I butcher this, and later the number 11 Diablos. They had proved these were not purely ceremonial and uses to intercept foreign aircraft. Wait, okay, not him. Now, the Su-30MK2s were not free of their own issues. Maintenance and operation readiness became a problem when the economy of Venezuela was shrinking, and so did the funding for their military. Sanctions, in turn, made their operational readiness because of parts dangerously low. An estimated half of Venezuelan Su-30 aircraft were deemed non-operational and or grounded by 2020. And this was because of maintenance-related issues. The government considered on multiple occasions to further modernize the aircraft and hoped they can be fixed and have their aircraft functional. Budget limits and logistical problems led to the failure of some, and even consistent upgrades were difficult. Which, of course, some have been lost in accidents, such as 3 total of them being lost in crashes and etc. Despite the numerous problems, though, they still served as the backbone and primary multi-role for the Venezuelan military. They're the most capable Venezuelan aircraft currently, not counting American control, and in 2026, only a handful are combat ready, and speaking that right now, that their air force is dissolved, probably none can be used.
Another zone captured, we have the advantage.
Now, to the capabilities of the aircraft. The engines used are the Saturn AL-31F engines. These are twin engines that power the plane. They are widely spaced due to survivability from what I researched, and they have an output of 25,000 kgf total and 1.22 kn total. It's enough thrust to take off with heavy load and keep the aircraft in the sky long enough for sustained combat operations. The design philosophy is for sustained field use and less turbine temperature to make the engines less fragile. Note, it does not feature thrust vectoring nozzles like other Sukhoi aircraft. The landing gear featured are a tricycle configuration. This pretty much means there are 3 sets of them. They are reinforced to be tolerable to semi-prepared runways. They feature long diameter wheels with low pressure added to them. Now, it does also feature a drag chute. The drag chute is meant for slowing the aircraft down when landing. This is useful for humid and tropical environments like Venezuela. Now to the radar and weapons. The radar is the N001 VEP or VEP. The detection range that they claim to have is 120 kilometers. If you have a flag on the moon, that'd be around 75 miles. They claim to be able to track 10 targets at once using the radar and are able to engage 2 simultaneously. It has an air-to-air mode, air-to-ground mode, and a maritime search mode. This radar was specifically upgraded for Venezuela's multi-role use. Why this is important is because Venezuela is most likely to face a maritime threat, and claims to have the capability of striking ships using the technology they have. It also features the OLS-30 IRST. For my non-radar nerds, that's infrared tracking, without giving itself away. You can also track targets using the IRST and visually track at medium range. It would attempt to work in heavily electronic warfare operational areas. The avionics and cockpit remain the same on these Su-30 variants. They are twin-seated, meaning they have a pilot and a weapons systems officer. It has a hybrid analog and digital output on the HUD, or otherwise known as a HUD. And not as digital as an F-35, for example, but enough to be readable and resistant to electronic failures. It has multiple navigation systems, INS, and then satellite navigation, with terrain following modes as an additional option. For weaponry, it features several different weapons it can carry. For its gun, it features a 30mm, which is the GSH-30-1 cannon. Its characteristics are high recoil, being destructive, and usually low ammo in the belt. Since majority of Russian planes suffer from this issue, so does the Mark II. It can only carry about 150 30mm bullets at one time. For its payload, it's about 8,000 kilograms. For missiles, it carries R-73 Fox 2 missiles, which are heat seekers, R-27 missiles, which are semi-active guided, and RVV-AEE Fox 3 missiles, which are full radar guided. The R-73 is a close-range missile. It's a heat seeker with close to medium-range capabilities. The R-27 is a semi-active radar-guided missile, meaning it can be used, but has to maintain radar lock the entire time it tracks. The RVV-AEE is a beyond visual range missile. It's fire and forget, meaning it can fire, and with an onboard radar, it can track without the radar on the aircraft needing constant tracking. This also includes KH-21 air-to-ground missiles and KH-59 cruise missiles, and Venezuela's favorite, the KH-31 anti-ship missile. And you cannot forget, it also includes rockets. As my summary, the Su-30MK2 is a great option for the wrong time. It helped, but with the isolated area and the constant reliance on Russia, eventually ended the aircraft's lifespan serving in Venezuela. Although it was decent, it is not up to the standard of any NATO or even Russian aircraft. It is simply an export meant to help the Venezuelan Air Force, and at the time being, it's also served as a fear tactic to the countries around it. I would like to thank you all for watching, subscribing, and etc. Check out my Instagram or my TikTok for extra content, as I do more than YouTube. Thank you. This is Speed and Power. I am out.